Hello and welcome back to the NXTGEN Racing's Toyota GR86 League here for round number 4. We are here at the Hockenheimring and we are looking forward to another evening of fantastic racing. It's been 2 weeks since we were last down on circuit back at Mugello, and what a great evening it was over there for Isaac Doble. He was able to take victory twice, and it's only the second time that a driver has taken more than one victory so far this season. Ben Oucher has taken 3 this season and tops that statistic sheet right now. Alongside them, though, in the winners column with 1 apiece, Adam Wilson-Weir, he won back at the first round of the season in Okayama. William Guthrie did the same, as did Lee Horn. They have not taken victory since Okayama in the opening round of competition. Nick Clibbins went and took victory at Portland. That was the second round of competition. But since then, Ben Oucher, Isaac Doble, they've been trading victories, taking it in turns on who is going to stand on the top spot of the order and who is going to stand on the top spot of the order tonight. That is the question here. It's been a different pole sitter each and every time we have gone out and competed in this season of competition. So it'd be interesting to see what our drivers are able to do around this outer layout of Hockenheimring. It's your Hockenheimring you know and love, with just a minor change. We don't go down into the Mercedes arena. Instead of turning to the right at turn number 7, we go straight across where the drag strip runs. We then make the turn into the turn 11 of Mobile 1, and we go into the usual stadium section, famous now, of course, from where the moment Sebastian Vettel threw away any title hopes that he would have for the future in Formula 1. And, of course, here in the virtual world, it is a corner that creates some great overtaking opportunities, as well is the sacks of turn number 12. And, of course, up towards the end, the final few corners of 15 and 16 as well, onto the main straight. We have got a couple of opportunities for some major slipstreaming work along to the back straight, along around turn 5 of Parabolica, and then along that drag strip, which we no longer turn off of. What that does mean is, like any circuit that has a huge amount of slipstreaming and therefore a huge amount of opportunities to gain time, first of all, you're going to see a lot of drivers working together in qualifying, but you are also going to see a lot of different drivers have opportunities to move their way through the field, find themselves towards the front and in the hunt for a potential victory this evening. Right then, let's have a look at the upcoming calendar, and we are getting ready to be halfway through this season. Halfway through race number 2 today, we will be at the halfway stage. We head out in 2 weeks' time at Zolder for round number 5. Then we head across to Willow Springs on May 12th for the 6th round of competition. And the finale, what a circuit. We are going to be heading to Interlagos. What a track to end any season at, no matter what the car. It's going to be great in these Toyotas. There's no doubt about that, as I'll be heading out on another selection of brilliant racing circuits throughout the second half of this season and up to the end. Of course, we run in tandem with the brilliant NXTGEN Racing's NXTCC League on every other Tuesday. So if you are watching these Toyotas for the first time, welcome in. If you haven't already done so, whether you're watching over on the Facebook, make sure you hit the follow button over there. If you're watching on the YouTube, then you hit the subscribe button over there, and you give the stream a cheeky thumbs up as well. And if you're watching over on the Joseph Wright broadcasting channels, then make sure you're hitting the follow or the subscribe over there as well to show your support and get notified when we go live. We will be back again this week for the next round of the GT3 League as well. So make sure that you're joining us on Thursday for that one and joining Alex Ever in the commentary box. And of course, next Tuesday we'll be back out in the NXTCC. So make sure you're joining Paul Walsh for that one in a week's time. We will be we're coming up again in 2 weeks' time, but we've still got a whole evening of racing ahead of us. So let's focus on that. In fact, instead of looking forward to the future, let's look back at the past and let's see how our championship standings look going into this 4th round of competition. And it is looking mighty strong for Ben Oucher right now. He's 2 points clear of Adam Wilson-Weir. Those victories have come into hand. However, consistency under the way of Adam Wilson-Weir, for example, has kept him very much within this title fight, and only a few points back is a driver who hasn't taken any victories this season. Jack Pittas sits in 3rd. Isaac Doble took the double last week. He sits in 4th in the championship, but that is thrown right up the order. We'll be looking to do something with that again today. He's looking pretty quick in the ongoing practice session right now as well. You've got Lee Horn. He sits 5th position in the championship right now. Horn won back at Okayama. He's had some inconsistent results since then and is looking to try and find his way back towards the front. But for now, he's just looking for a track in which he can find himself comfortable at, just like he did at Okayama. Definitely could have had more points on the board out of that first round. He had issues throughout the first 2 races. Took home the victory in the 3rd race of asking at round number 1 in the end. He currently is sitting in 6th position in the practice session, so we'll be hoping that he can find a little bit of time out there as they head around the circuit, and he'll be able to move his way up the order. Phil McDougall sits in 6th position right now, just a singular point behind Lee Horn. And William Guthrie, he also took victory back at Okayama. Race number 2 in that one. He sits 7th in the championship right now, 71 points to his name, ahead of Alan McCain. Only a single point separate those 2 drivers, and another point further back, and you get to Jamie Dory. Dory is looking really quick right now in this practice session, 3rd position in the session at the moment. Nigel Stock rounds out your top 10 in your championship. We then have a little bit of a further look back. Mark Kent sits in 11th position right now with 46 points onto his name. He's 2 points clear of Ross Gillette. Joshua Downing is 3 points further back right now, but only a single point keeping him ahead of Nick Clibbins as it stands. Benjamin Gregory sits in 15th right now with 36 points clear of Michael Wade. Matt Gatter is points on the board with 24. Matthew Jordan, 18, ahead of Adrian Ruiz Hernandez, who's sitting in 19th position in the number 19 car. He's in he's got 17 points to his name ahead of Jack Brown, who rounds out your top 20. 15 points on the board for Jack Brown, ahead of Carl Thompson with 14. Lewis Mason with 10. Dan Beckett with 3. Jonathan Berry with 2. Now then, we're going to be getting some points on the board, hopefully, for Mark Sykes and Mark Hughes. They'll be looking to try and score some points in this round. Max Andrews, Archie Bennett, welcome to the championship. We'll see what they can do if they're able to get some points on the board. And for Max Andrews right now, he is looking very quick. In fact, the quickest of them all. But how reliable can you call these practice timings? This is the thing that you've got to remember, that the practice sessions don't invalidate lap times if they get a little bit of a bump along the way. So if they're pushing a driver, or if they're getting pushed, their lap time will still stand, even though they have got that instant 0x. Now, in qualifying, yes, they're going to be heading out there together, but any bumping will invalidate their lap time. It will not count. Therefore, drivers who have found their way to the very front, maybe with a bit of a push out there, aren't going to benefit from that during the qualifying session. They're going to have to go out there on tow alone. That being said, you are going to see lots of gaggles of cars, like the one we've just seen going through Saxa of turn number 12 together, because having that group of cars, the constant tow around the circuit, is going to greatly benefit you in the qualifying session. But of course, during that same sentence, having a driver in front of you through, such as that arena section, which has sacks in it, it is going to slow you down in the corners if the driver in front of you isn't as quick. We watch the remainder of this practice session. We've got about 5 minutes left on the board here. Now, unlike the other series on Next Gen Racing, there are no classes in the Toyota GR86s. They are all heading out, all scoring the same points. Every single position really does matter for our drivers, and they are going to be trying to do the absolute best that they can to get those points on the board. And it's not going to be an easy day of asking to do that, because we have a field of 20 drivers. Only the top 15 score points. So therefore, if you're finishing down outside that top 15, you are really going to find yourself in a world of hurt with the points. You're not going to get any onto the board. You're going to want to try and get through. Of course, with the way that these systems work, race number 2, well, you're going to see that inverted. Top 15 flip themselves around. Drivers outside that top 15 will then have an opportunity to maybe follow the faster cars through and move up towards the front of the field. And then, if they're still struggling, well, race number 3 is going to come around. And guess what? You finish last, you start first. As long as you know more than 1 lap down, you will be included in a full inverted grid for the final race of the day, which will be that longer race of the day, of course, about 25 minutes of asking. The first 2 being those shorter 15 minutes or so races. So it's going to be interesting to see how our drivers get along out there on the circuit and see how they work together, especially in the qualifying session. Like I say, it is going to be a session that requires a lot of tow, a lot of trying to get the benefit of the drivers in front of you without hindering yourself in the process. And for Jonathan Berry right now, this would be a situation that you do not want in qualifying. He's running out there all on his lonesome, but what he is going to show us is the way that this circuit differs from your usual Hockenheim layout that you might know and love out there watching today. Oh, no, he's not. Oh, Berry. He was about to show us what it would have been like to run that. We're going to ride on board Clibbins instead. He can see a little fight going on in front of him. So we go into the hairpin here. This is, as usual, through the hairpin of turn number 6. Clibbins pushes it out a little bit wide. But instead of turning off to the right here, where you would turn off to the right through 7, up towards that grandstand at the Mercedes Arena, we're going to head straight on along the drag strip instead. We're going to skip out that section, and instead we're now going to full throttle it all the way up to turn number 11. We're skipping from 7 to 11. We're going to slam on the brakes here at Mobile 1 and turn in to the arena section that heads us up in towards turn number 12 of Sachs, that then continues as normal. So we are skipping out that middle section of the circuit, and what that does mean is there's going to be a lot of pushing going into the hairpin, and your exit is going to be crucial because you're going to carry a lot of speed out of the hairpin as well. And for Nick Clibbins, he dives down pit lane because there's a bit of an issue going on out there for some of our drivers. And this is one of our newer drivers out there as well. Archie Bennett is heading around, and we'll be looking to see what he can do in his first event here today. And if you do want to get yourself involved in the second half of the season, 3 more rounds still out there to race. Then make sure you head across to the Next Gen Racing's Discord page if you haven't already joined it, and head down towards the sign up form for that one, or just send Mr. Jamie Dory a message and get yourself into this wonderful league. It's created some fantastic racing in the early stages of competition. There's no doubt going to change here today. They really do provide some excellent close racing. And since the car was updated at the start of the previous season of competition, it has, in iRacing, I mean, it has become an absolute staple for iRacers out there who have, a lot of them, jumped ship from the Mazda MX-5 across into the Toyota. Of course, we have some great memories of the MX-5 here in the Joseph Wright broadcasting booth alone at Next Gen Racing, not counting all of the wonderful seasons of the Mazdas that came before. And it'd be nice to see those Mazdas out on track again, but these Toyotas are certainly giving them a close rivalry for the intense battles that they have been creating this season. And like I said, in our win list, we've had now 6 different winners in our opening 9 rounds, and I think that just shows you how much of an open bag it is for our race spinners. But Isaac Doble Ben Oucher. Are they going to be able to find their way back towards the front again? Ben Oucher is not looking too quick in practice here today. Isaac Doble's in the top 5. Oucher's outside the top 10. But at the moment, at the top of the order, we've got some familiar names. You've got Jack Pittas in second, Jamie Doy third, Benjamin Gregory fourth. But the man at the very top, well, that is Max Andrews. He is out there running the fastest in this practice session. But like I say, the qualifying session is going to be a little bit different for our drivers because they're not going to be able to push each other around. They will definitely get the tow, but we are not going to be seeing the drivers getting the bumps, because that will invalidate their lap time. Practice here comes to a close, and we will get ourselves out for qualifying. It is going to be an open qualifying session. All drivers are going to go out there together and give it a go. As we say hello to those that are watching today. Good evening to Mecham over on the Twitch. I hope you are looking forward to today's racing in the Toyotas. I certainly am. If you're watching over on the Facebook or the YouTube, then make sure you drop an hello and who you are supporting here today. Practice is underway. 15 minutes is going to get onto the board for our drivers, and we are going to have a little bit of a look here at Max Andrews. He is one of the drivers nearer the front of the trainer cars that will be coming out of pit lane to get onto their timing laps. He was fastest in the practice session. We'll be looking to potentially replicate that going into the qualifying session. He'll be certainly hoping that he is able to do so, and you can already see groups of drivers trying to find their way. Now, this pushing that we can see going on here, the moment it registers as a 0x on a flying lap, that would become an invalid lap time, so drivers do need to be very careful. Unsurprisingly, we see Jamie Doy towards the very front. He is looking to work with Jack Pittas in this one. Normally we see a Doy-Doble partnership out there on the racing track. It doesn't look like we are going to get that one at this moment in time, at least. Instead, we are going to get the NXTGEN Racing driver of Jamie Doy getting out there running around with your Type 2 racing driver. They've started doing a little bit more together, so keep an eye out for that one. It's some great things on the horizon there, and it'll be interesting to see what they can do in this qualifying session as well, with 13 minutes about to clock tick down on our session, as drivers have now completed their out laps, and we will get going on the first lap of qualifying. We are going to ride on board here with the man following Jamie Doy. It is Jack Pittas. Let's talk through a lap of the Hockenheim circuit, the outer layout here. We come up towards turn number 1, Nord curve, push over that curbing on the inside, and then all the way onto that extended curve on the outside line. Careful that you don't run too far wide, get your lap time invalidated. Slam on the brakes, back the 100 meter board there for Pittas, gets right onto the bumper of Dory, gets towards the inside of turn number 2 without clipping that sausage curb. Number 3 is then that kink to the right, and then we go back to the left. Turn number 4 onto the long back straight here. This toe that Pittas is going to be getting is going to be very, very helpful for him. We go through turn 5 of the Parabolica and up towards our heaviest braking zone on the circuit. It is the hairpin. Lots of instance here. We brake between the 150 and 100 meter boards there. Turn across to the right hand side to clip that apex again. Push yourself out wide, but not off the circuit to invalidate your lap time. Pittas gets all over the end of Dory, and once again we're going to get the toe here, not turning off towards the Mercedes arena. Instead we go on forward along the drag strip and up towards the Mobile 1. Turn number 11 here. Pittas backing out a little bit along this straight, already feeling that this is not going to be the best lap time for him. Turning in towards turn number 11 though, pushing it over that curbing on the inside, and again towards the outside. You've got that green turf though. Cross to the right hand side for Pittas. He's going to swing it into the left. Doesn't go as tight there as Dory in front. Dory runs a lot wider on exit as well. You can get over the turf on that left hand side. Don't really want to get to the curving of turn 14, but on 15 you certainly do that, and into 16 as well. It's going to be a really tight line from Pittas. It's going to unsettle his exit though. He's going to be a bit wider than he would have hoped from through Sud curve. And that, my friends, is a lap of the Hockenheim circuit without the Mercedes arena. Jamie Dory is the fastest on the board, and it was an invalidated lap time for Jack Pittas around there. But as drivers do complete their lap times, Lee Horn finds his way towards the very front. He will be extremely happy with that if he is able to stick there for the next 11 minutes, because it could be an opportunity at a second victory this season. We come in towards turn number 2 now as we watch Isaac Doble. He has taken 2 victories this season. He did both of them last week at Mugello race number 1. He managed to convert pole position into race victory. Didn't have as great races in race number 2, but still found as well climbing up the order, and in race number 3 in the full inverted grid he was able to climb his way back to the very front and take race victory once more. The man who took race victory between that was Ben Oucher, and Ben Oucher has taken 3 wins this season. You can see the groupings of drivers out there on the circuit looking to work together without hindering each other around here as well, because that would be extremely disappointing to find yourself in a lovely tow of drivers and suddenly get yourself held up going in towards the Mercedes arena. Trying to figure out here who is running around in this group, and one of those running around in the group is the man that's just dropped to the back of that train of drivers. It is Lee Horn, who finds himself at the very front of this train now, and with that being, sorry, the very rear of the train, and with that being said, he's letting more through. Isaac Doble, he's getting a very distant tow here, but he'll be trying to get his name onto the board in a decent position here. Max Andrews looking to replicate his practice fastest time. He goes fastest in qualifying. Isaac Doble looking to repeat his practice session result as well. Goes 5th position right now, just ahead of Jonathan Berry, as Nigel Stock fits in between Berry and Kent there in 7th position. Let's see what Lewis Mason is able to do in this one. Mason has shown some decent pace, and he was showing some good battling skills at Portland, so it'll be interesting what Mason is able to do as well as he gets out there to come across the timing line in the 991 machine. He gets a 2:08. It's a slow lap. He invalidated the lap, although is that an out lap for Mason potentially? But you can see he is all on his lonesome out there. It means he won't get hindered through the corners, of course, but it means he has no support along the straight. Phil McDougall is in this grouping of cars that is running together at the back end. 90% of your cars are at the back end of the circuit here. You can see quite a lot of them in the camera shot as they came out of the final turn and up now towards the Sachs Arena, towards the end of the drag strip. We're no longer going onto that Mercedes arena in this evening's racing. Phil McDougall gets turned in to turn number 11. Keeps it very much within track limits here. He's getting that distant tow in front of him as well, which will be helping him out. I'm trying to figure out who is running around in front of him right now. As he pulls over, it was Isaac Doble. Doble will not improve on this lap time, and he's backing out, and McDougall will come through the final 2 corners here out of Sud Curve, and we'll be looking to see where he places himself on the qualifying order for this time being, with 7.5 minutes left in the session. Phil McDougall goes into 12th place right now, 2/10 off of Mark Sykes, as Mark Sykes actually goes in a massive improvement and moves up to 7th position. Nick Clibbins is still trying to get a lap time on the board right now. He's got in a number of invalid laps, as has Lewis Mason at this stage as well. They're your final 2 drivers who need to put in lap times on the board, and then we will see all 20 of our Toyota GR86s with valid laps in qualifying. We're missing 2 for the time being. Jamie Dory still at the front of a train of drivers. You can see how close he is to Max Andrews. Max Andrews is going to want to get behind Pittas for another lap if possible. At the moment, though, it is Pittas who is being pulled along by Dory. We saw this at the beginning of qualifying. It continues on halfway through this qualifying session, over halfway through this qualifying session, I should say, and up towards turn number 11. Pittas is over the rear of Lee Horn and up towards Sachs of turn number 12. And that was Max Andrews pushing it a little bit wide coming into Mobile 1. Keeps it within track the limits, though, for Max Andrews, and we'll be looking to improve. Dory backs out going into the final 2 corners, and he has swapped over with Pittas. Once again, these two have been alternating, but that is actually Jamie Dory down pit lane with this one. He has extended his laps and he's run out of fuel, and the same goes for Pittas. And Pittas, in fact, looks like he backed out of that one a little bit early, looking like his lap time was not good enough. But Nick Clibbins, who was at the rear of that train of drivers, has just moved into provisional pole position. Lee Horn has just improved to go onto the front row. This is the quickest we have seen Horn in a while here. So this could be really good for Lee Horn in potentially taking a second victory of the season. Nick Clibbins won race number 2 back at Portland. Neither Clibbins nor Horn have taken pole position so far this season, and Max Andrews, who's getting out there for the first time, is looking to try and take pole position in his debut event as we come up towards the hairpin of turn number 6. Clibbins pushes it wide, and that is an off track as well, so his lap time will be discounted, but he continues to push here because he is looking at working with those around you. If you've been pulled, it's only fair you do a little bit of the pulling as well, and you make sure that you are returning the favour. It also keeps drivers in your good books, but I help you out in the race sessions to come. 3 race sessions to come, of course, here tonight, and between each of those races, as usual at NXTGEN, we will take a breather on the broadcast as we prepare for each of the sessions to be loaded, because each of the 3 races are done in their own iRacing session. What that does mean is we'll go to our starting screen. We'll take a little bit of a break here in the broadcasting booth while we do that. You can get yourself your refreshments, your snacks, and prepare for the next races. But make sure you're not running away too early. 3 races are coming your way today, with that final longer race being a full invert. It always creates drama. Make sure you're sticking around for that one. That'll be this evening. In potentially about an hour and 15 minutes time, we will see that final race of the day, and it's always a great way to get the evening finished with. Right, 3.5 minutes on the clock here as we watch Max Andrews continuing to lap. We have got all 20 drivers onto the timing screens on the left-hand side. The top 12 are separated by 1 second right now. Your top 7 by half a second. Nick Clibbins pulls over to the side here, allows Max Andrews and the number 28 machine, who is Jack Pittas, to go through. Pittas, of course, was running around with Jamie Dory. Dory came down pit lane, and since he has rejoined the circuit after filling up for another tank of fuel, he has found a new selection of drivers to work with out there. In fact, someone coming out of pit lane as well here will be looking to get onto the rear end and pick up a little bit of a tow going onto the final lap of asking. We come in towards turn number 2, and for Jamie Dory, he's not able to push as hard as he probably would want to right now. A little bit of traffic just going a bit of an odd direction, as is the traffic that is going on right now in the back of the field. This is Isaac Doble, and that was about 4 cars just all trying to slow down, find some space going through Mobile 1. These drivers are all coming up to pretty much their last attempts here in the qualifying session, which means that they are now going to be pushing hard. Nick Clibbins looking to take a first pole position of the season. So is Lee Horn, so is Max Andrews, Jamie Dory even. All those top 4 have yet to get a pole position this season. Jack Pittas is the highest to get a pole position. I mean, even Ben Oucher, who's taken 3 wins this season, has not started a race from pole position. It's not necessarily the best place to be on the grid, especially on a circuit like this that requires a lot of tow. Starting on pole could be at your detriment. However, having that pole position under your name is always a great feeling, knowing that you were faster than any of the other drivers out there. it gives you some confidence heading into the races, especially the first race of the day. Isaac Doble here looking to get a bit of toe along the back straight, getting pulled around by Benjamin Gregory. Right now, who sits just behind him in the timing order as well. Gregory in 10th, Doble in 9th position. You see Doble all over the rear end of Gregory here. The toe is going to be fantastic, but being held up by a driver along the corners where you can find that time is not going to be so fantastic. And Doble is having to pull out of the way of Gregory already. And we're going a little bit of fighting here in this qualifying session. Brake lights from Gregory, though. He is going to allow Doble to pass, but it meant that Doble did not have the toe all the way along the drag strip here up towards turn number 11. We get ourselves turned in the 65 machine, and we'll see if Doble is able to improve. That's going to be some invalidated lap times behind. That was Jonathan Berry finding himself massively off the circuit, and looks as he spun his car around there. He kept it off the track to the right-hand side without hindering anyone else's lap times. We come through the final 2 corners here for Isaac Doble. Is he going to be able to find an improvement on his 47.137 that he's currently got on the board? He comes up towards the timing line here. Isaac Doble crosses the line, and it is a massive jump for him. 46.715. Isaac Doble finds himself in 3rd position, and crucially ahead of championship rivals. Ben Oucher particularly is a big one to be sitting ahead of right now, who's 8th in the session. Drivers, though, are able to finish our lap times, including Doble right now, who could finish this lap time. He doesn't have the toe in front of him, but he is giving Benjamin Gregory behind a toe right now, so there could be a little bit of teamwork between these drivers. We watch Michael Wade, among others, come through the final turn of asking here and see if they can improve on their final laps in this qualifying session, and it is an improvement for Nigel Stock. He goes up to 7th, knocking Pittas down into that 7th position spot. Sorry, Stock goes up to 6th, knocking Pittas down into the 7th spot, position spot. 3,000th of a second is all that separated Stock from Dorey, but it was enough to keep Dorey ahead. Isaac Doble here is going to pull out of the way and give Benjamin Gregory the opportunity to run through the end of this lap without hindrance. That was definitely, I'm going to complete this lap to help Benjamin Gregory here. He helped me out on my lap that took me to 3rd position. Could this help from Isaac Doble pull Benjamin Gregory up the order? He's currently 10th position, 7/10 off of your pole position spot. Benjamin Gregory comes through the sud curve, the final corner on the circuit, and he's going to overdrive it into the final corner. For Benjamin Gregory, what could have been will be no more. That is qualifying done and dusted here at the Hockenheimring, and we will now prepare to wait for our drivers to grid up for race number 1, and it is going to be a race that will require a lot of slipstreaming. There's going to be a lot of alternating positions. If you're watching for the first time and you're wondering, how do I get involved in this Toyota GR86 League, head across to the Next Gen Racing's Discord and get yourself signed up over in the Toyota section on that one. We've still got 3 more rounds to come in this championship. Of course, we head to Zolder in 2 weeks' time. 4 weeks' time, we head to Willow Springs, and the championship ends in 6 weeks' time at Interlagos on the 26th of May for round number 7. Right then, qualifying is at a close. We are done, and we are going to get our drivers onto the racing grid here, and they will prepare for the first race of 3. The only race that is going to be set normally today is going to be set by your qualifying order. No adjustments, no changes that are going to be made in that one, and with 15 minutes on the board, we're looking at about 9 laps of asking. Right, drivers are going to get themselves down onto that track, and as they do so, we are going to have a look at the starting order. Nick Clibbins qualified pole position for the first time this season, and he starts just ahead of a previous race winner, Lee Horn. Both of those drivers have won 1 race so far this season. Isaac Doble, well, he's won 2 races. He starts In P number 3, Max Andrews starting in 4th position ahead of Jamie Dory and Nigel Stock from 6th. Andrews heading out there for the first time this season. Jack Pittas will be starting from 7th on the grid ahead of your championship leader, Ben Oucher. Mark Sykes starts in 9th ahead of Benjamin Gregory. Jonathan Berry from 11th ahead of Phil McDougall. 13th is for Mark Kent ahead of Mark Hughes. Archie Bennett will be starting in 15th position clear of Carl Thompson. And then Lewis Mason from 17th alongside Michael Wade. The 10th row of the grid will be Adrian Ruiz Hernandez in 19th ahead of Dan Beckett. William Guthrie will be starting in 21st position. He did not get a lap time on the board as he joined late, as so did Matt Gatter, who will be starting 22nd on the grid. Therefore, drivers will get themselves onto that circuit and prepare to get themselves underway here for, like I say, 15 minutes of racing. That's going to be about 9 laps of asking around this fantastic Hockenheimring. Running that outer layout, of course. They aren't running the Mercedes Arena, so they will be heading completely along the drag strip at the back until we get to the final arena on the circuit. The only part of the arena that was part of the original Hockenheim circuit. If you know the short layout here, well, that was the original Hockenheim circuit before they then added, obviously, into the trees. That became the huge Hockenheim circuit, and when that went away, it became its current iteration. The short layout remains. 15 minutes on the board. We're prepared to go racing for round number 4. We are green and we are away here at Hockenheimring already. Chaos in the background with drivers trying to find their way past others without getting off of the line. It's very well for some. It means they've dropped down the order straight away. Jonathan Berry down 11 spots on the start here. Dan Beckett down a couple towards the back as well. So some issues for a number of our drivers on the start line. Out at the front though, Nick Clibbins continues to go away. That was Benjamin Gregory finding himself spinning, and that is a collection of cars following that one as well. Michael Wade, Mark Kent, Jonathan Berry all caught up in that one. We'll have to have a look at the end of this one as we get up towards turn number 6 here, and it's going to be Lee Horn looking for the race lead at the very front of this one. Side by side with Nick Clibbins is Andrews and Doble side by side behind as well as they fight it out for 3rd position out there on the racing circuit. But for now, Clibbins gets back the overlap ahead of Lee Horn on the outside line here. We skip the Mercedes Arena, and it's going to go 3 wide here as Max Andrews invites himself to the inside line. Up towards turn number 11, it is going to be Andrews on the inside, Horn in the middle, Clibbins on the outside line, and Andrews finds his way through into the race lead. It's still side by side between Horn and Clibbins. Horn pushing for that wider line, a little bit of a scrape there between himself and Clibbins. Isaac Doble maintains in 4th position, but now looking to try and get his nose into Lee Horn. Clibbins maintains 2nd. Horn now under attack from Doble, but Max Andrews made a brilliant pass there, started 4th on the grid, and after the first lap of asking, Max Andrews is into the race lead here across the timing line, and it's the debutant who is at the very front of the order in towards turn number 1. It is issues towards the background, as I said, on the opening lap, and Berry and Wade are going to have to find themselves down pit lane fixing their cars from the damage that was picked up at the early doors in this one. That is Jack Pittas looking to try and get up the inside of Nigel Stock. He's then going to hold the outside line, and it's not going to be enough for him to move up into 7th position. For Ben Oucher, he's up from 8th on the grid into 6th. Exactly what your championship contender would have wanted to see, is to get himself up and through the order quickly early doors. Back towards the front though, and it is going to be Nick Clibbins to the inside. It's going to be Doble to the inside of Horn as well. Clibbins looking for the race lead here as we come through the hairpin. Nick Clibbins is maintaining it side by side. Lee Horn got a little bit wide, but he gets himself back onto the track. But Doble once again trying to get the overlap here. Andrews has had a brilliant exit out of the hairpin, and it is going to invite Clibbins to the outside of Horn now to potentially make his way through. Jamie Dory looks to the outside of Doble as well, and there's 5-car fight at the very front of the order. Klibbins looking to try and keep that position. He's done so, but not anymore because he pushes himself completely off the circuit. And Klibbins is going to fall. Horn finds himself up into second, but Doble looking to try and ruin the day for him. He's hanging it around the outside. Dusak's into turn 13, 14, and now into penultimate turn. Isaac Doble has got the inside line, and Lee Horn is going to find himself back into third position just when he thought he was clear of that position. He finds himself back down there. Again, teammates of Dan Beckett and Adrian Hernandez are running out there in 16th and 17th position right now, and Hernandez is going to run the wider line. It looks like Beckett just letting that position go at this stage in the race. Lee Horn and Ben Oucher are now going to go side by side as the championship leader continues to try and find the points out there, and that is going to be Klibbins looking to try and find his way back up the order. Goes to the inside of Horn as well. Horn now looking for the exit on Ben Oucher as we get towards the Parabolica. It's to the inside for Horn. He can't just swing across to the right this time. Nick Klibbins is there, and he is going to be stuck to the left-hand side as they come along towards turn number 6 of the hairpins. Klibbins is going to be to the inside. He's going to have a little bit of a nudge from behind there. That was Nigel Stock, who is giving a little bit of rubbing on the rear bumper. But everyone continues facing the right way in this early stage of asking. And as they continue to fight around here, let's just jump back to that opening lap accident and have a look at what happened here. It was contact there, and it was just a collection of drivers. It was a set-put spin from Benjamin Gregory, and the collision at the back between Mark Kent, Carl Thompson, Michael Wade, all completely separate in all of that. We go back to our live pictures and back to this train of drivers that leads the way, and Stock is on the rear end of Klibbins and Pittas. That was Klibbins who ran a little bit wider. Now Pittas is going to try and get it around the outside in the final 2 corners as we come up towards the timing line. Jack Pittas on the wider line here, with Nick Klibbins on that inside line. Across the timing line they go, and up towards turn number 1. Pittas is going to keep the outside though and get into 6th position, which he will maintain. They're dropping off on the leading 5 just a little bit here, and that's not what Pittas is going to want to see in the current stages, as this is Carl Thompson and that is Mark Kent just up ahead as well, and that was Michael Wade. Wade is a lap down in this race, so allowing our drivers past. Benjamin Gregory looking to get up the inside of Dan Beckett, as Gregory now trying to get towards the points. Remember, top 15 score points in this one, which means driver who did not put a lap time on the board, well, he finds himself in 15th position right now, and another driver who did not get a lap time on the board, William Guthrie, well, he finds himself in 13th position right now. So the unlikely pairing at the front, at the back of the order in qualifying, find themselves into the points early doors in this one. We've still got about 8.5 minutes left on the clock here for our drivers to try and find their way any further up the order. Barry out of this race. He's the only driver to have dropped out of this race, unfortunately, on the first race of the day. Max Andrews continues to hold the lead as Lee Horn finds himself running into the gravel there through the exit of turn number 11, as Mark Seitz looking to try and gain up the order here as well. He's on the rear end of another newcomer to the series, Archie Bennett. Bennett running around in 10th position right now. Mark Sykes looking for points on the board, and as it stands, he's gonna get them. Is he going to be able to keep it in that position all the way through the race, though? He's certainly going to hope so as we come across the timing line for Sykes. He is maintaining onto 11th position, looking to move a little bit higher up. Matt Gatter looking to get past Lewis Mason, though. Mason's going to be on the right-hand side. It's the inside line to turn 1, but he backs out of it after Gatter makes his way through out of the final turn. Matt Gatter now into 14th position. Lewis Mason down to 15th, but Mason is not going to hang back and wait in this one. He's going to look to try and make a way back through immediately into turn number 2. We switch across to turn number 4 now, and it is going to be different lines there from Gatter. Gatter has his teammate Hernandez behind are the two drivers of Gassed Up Motorsport going to work together here to make their way up the order, back towards the front, and it is side by side once more for your race lead. Doble went for the inside line into the hairpin. It didn't work out on the exit of the corner for him, and it does invite Jamie Dory right onto the rear bumper of Isaac Doble here, and this could be an opportunity for Dory to make his way as Doble goes to the outside line here. We come in towards Mobile 1. We ride on board with Max Andrews, and it is going to be the switch across there. Andrews pushes himself wide. It's going to be 3 wide for just a moment. They settle themselves down 2 wide with Doble and Dory now fighting it out for the win, with Ben Oucher looking to get onto a podium position as well. Remember, he started in 8th position, did Oucher, and he has got himself now up into 3rd. Dory started 5th, Doble started 3rd. They have all moved themselves up, and that is going to be a slide, and then ultimately a spin and a massive accident. Max Andrews collected there by the 105 of Phil McDougall. That is a real shame. McDougall, though, is going to get his car facing back the right way. Look at the damage on this machine right now. This could potentially be a safety car with that machine, because that is going to be very slow heading around the circuit here. So we'll have to keep an eye out on whether or not the safety car comes out for the 105 machine. If it does, we'll have to wait until the end of the lap, but with only 5 minutes left on the board, I'm not certain we will see it, especially with the racing that's going on at the front of this one right now. And it is going to be, once again, a fight for the lead as Isaac Doble gets to the inside of Dory, and that's going to be Oucher looking to get his nose in as well. But on the exit, Dory has got the overlap and has got past Isaac Doble. Jamie Dory is going to lead here, looking for his first victory this season. He pushes all the way to the outside as they come up towards the arena section. Isaac Doble looks to the inside of Dory here. It's going to be a nudge there. Oucher on the rear end of Dory. Dory, I think, was going to try and back out and do the switch across on Doble. The contact from Oucher prevents that from happening. Lee Horn now to the inside of Ben Oucher as we come through the hairpin of Sachs turn number 12. It's going to be side by side between Oucher and Horn once more. Oucher to the inside of Horn, looking to hold on to that 3rd position once more, and he is going to do so. This is going to be Isaac Doble leading the way across the timing line at the end of the 6th lap of Asking. Dory in 2nd, ahead of Oucher, Horn, Klibbins, Stock and Pittas at the rear end of the fight. And Pittas right now getting the fastest lap of the race as well as we come up towards the turn number 2. It's going to be heavy. Onto the brakes. There's going to be a nudge there as Dory goes into the rear end of Doble. Oucher saw that and thought this could be an opportunity here. We ride on board the rear end of Isaac Doble as we look back at Jamie Dory. Dory is going to go to the left-hand side here. What is Ben Oucher going to do? Is Oucher going to follow through here as we come up to the hairpin? He's even going to give Jamie Dory the nudge, and now Dory goes defensive, ultra defensive here, into the hairpin, to the inside. It's going to push him out very, very deep though, and Ben Oucher does the switch across. What a fantastic move. Ben Oucher moves from 3rd to 1st in the hairpin. He gets himself to the very front of the order now, ahead of Jamie Dory. Dory, though, looking to get back to the inside here, up towards turn number 11. Dory's got the overlap. Oucher's going to try and carry the speed, but Doble pushes it very much so onto the inside line. It is 2 by 2 by 2 into the hairpin here in this lead fight for the race victory here in round number 4. That is going to be Klibbins onto the grass. He will find himself out of this fight in the final 2.5 minutes. He should be able to hold on to 7th position, and that is Isaac Doble, who finds himself around at the final 2 corners of Asking. And this 6-car fight finds itself down to 5. Of course, as they continue, Klibbins could find himself back in this one. Doble, however, is all the way down in 11th position. He'll have opportunity in race number 2, of course, take victory Jamie Dory backing out. Is that a slowdown from Dory, or is it tactical from Dory? That's the question right now. I think it might have been a slowdown from Jamie Dory. I have a little look here, but I can't see here that he's gone off the track at any section there. Lights flashing from Dory. He has had to give up the race lead that goes right now to three-time race winner Ben Oucher at the very front of this one. Lee Horn, though, looking to get stuck in. So is Nigel Stock. Horn's won once this season. Stock has not. Stock's in the middle here. Oucher's got the inside. Horn backs it up just a little bit to try and get the speed on the exit. There's a little bit of contact with Pittas. Jamie Dory's back into the mix straight away. And Nick Clibbins is on the rear end once more. But now it is Nigel Stock leading here, and they are going to be coming up to the white flag lap. Is it going to be beneficial for Nigel Stock to be out at the front of this one, going on to the final lap of asking? Lee Horn to the inside of Ben Oucher as we go into turn number 11. Dory has got back past Pittas there and confirms that position for fourth. Pittas swings to the outside. It's going to be Oucher to the inside of Lee Horn, and Dory's going to get his nose in, and there's going to be contact between Dory and Horn, and that's going to be sliding from Horn. It's going to back out this fight just a little bit, give a little bit more breathing space to Nigel Stock. Pittas goes around the outside. Sorry, Dory goes around the outside of Horn. Horn remains ahead of Pittas, but they go on to the final lap of asking here, onto the white flag lap. Nigel Stock sits ahead of Ben Oucher, of course. This doesn't just mean it's only a two-car fight right now. Dory is only a 4 tenths behind Horn, and the chasing back a further 6 tenths. Horn gets a slowdown, or he gives up position. Which one is it? I think it might be a slowdown. Turn number 1, very easy to pick up a slowdown if you go on the inside just a little bit too much. Ben Oucher not looking for the toe, looking for the overtake early doors along to the Parabolica, out of turn number 4. He switches across to go alongside here. It is going to give Nigel Stock the inside line up towards the hairpin, but that inside line can catch you out. Jamie Dory went extremely deep into it a couple of laps ago. It gave him up position. Dory swings across to say, hey, I could do this. He decides, hey, I'm not going to do this. Stock stays ahead right now. Dory goes to the inside of Oucher. Stock pushes himself wide, throws away the race lead for the time being. Dory and Oucher now fighting out for victory. They scrape along the drag straight here. They're going to keep on rubbing body panels. They are exchanging all of the paint on the side of their car. That full tilt machine is going to be pink by the end of this one. As here comes Nigel Stock to the inside. It's 3 wide into the arena. Dory backs out of it. Oucher gets the speed on the outside. Stock moves through to second. Ben Oucher could be on the hunt for his 4th win of the season. It looks like he's going to do it. Dory gets a little bit of a nudge there from Lee Horn. There's wobbling. Clibbins now goes to the outside of Horn, looking for 5th position, and he is able to get that for the time being into the final 2 corners, so he's going to have to push it to the inside. He certainly is. And for the 4th time this season, championship leader Ben Oucher is going to take victory, and he gets there ahead of Nigel Stock. Jack Pittas in 3rd position. As we come up towards the line, a couple of other fights going on in the background. We focus so heavily on the lead fight. I don't normally do that, but it was constant changing of positions. Lewis Mason holds on to 12th out of Mark Sykes, and for Dan Beckett, he is going to take the final point on the board in race number 1. A few drivers missing out on that one in the end, but victory going the way of Ben Oucher for the 4th time this season. Ben Oucher has taken victory. He did it last at the second race of asking at Mugello since round number 2. Race number 3, we have only seen Oucher and Doble take victory. And if the statistics mean anything, if the results mean anything, it is gone Oucher, Doble, Oucher, Doble, Oucher. Are we going to see a Doble victory in race number 2? Well, he found himself around in this race, down into 8th position by the end of race number 1. What that does mean is he's going to find himself in about the same position for race number 2, but crucially ahead of all of the drivers that he was fighting for in the early stages of this race. That then is going to be race done and dusted, race number 1 of the day. Let's first have a look at our race results before we look at the top 10 in the championship after the first race of asking. Ben Oucher finds himself in first position by the end of that one, ahead of Nigel Stock, who just went too deep at the hairpin. Jack Pittas coming home in third position ahead of Jamie Doy. Nick Clibbins crossed the line in fifth position ahead of Lee Horn. In sixth position, then it was seventh position for William Guthrie. Eighth in the end after finding himself around was Isaac Doble. Can we also just say here, William Guthrie did not qualify, started 21st on the grid. He finished 7th. William Guthrie has taken one victory so far this season. Is he in line for a second today? He's looking quick. Isaac Doble then in 8th position, as I said. Archie Bennett in 9th ahead of Mark Hughes. It was then Benjamin Gregory in 11th ahead of Lewis Mason, Mark Sykes, Adrian Hernandez and Dan Beckett was your final driver to take a point out this one. Matt Gatter down in 16th in the end ahead of Carl Thompson. Phil McDougall issues in that one as well for Michael Wade. Max Andrews as well. We saw that big whack for him. Mark Kent 3 laps down and Jonathan Barry out early doors in that race. With race 1 being done, let's have a quick look at the top 10 in your championship. Following that one, Ben Oucher extends his championship lead as Pittas moves into second. It's 13 points in hand for Oucher right now. Doble is looking to try and catch up to Adam Wilson-Weir. Of course, no Wilson-Weir today, which is why we're seeing drivers catch up towards him. Horn finds himself in 5th ahead of Jamie Doy right now. William Guthrie with still a really strong result in 7th. Could he outscore Jamie Doy in this one? They could swap around. So could Phil McDougall. He's only a point behind Guthrie right now. Nigel Stock sits with 74 points. No Alan McCain today either. He sits with 70 points to his name. Race number 1 is done then here. Let's have a quick word with one of our drivers before we take a break, and then we'll pick up and with one of our drivers after our break as well. In fact, we will talk to one of the drivers that was very, very close to taking victory in the end in that one. And of course, it was Nigel Stock. He managed to take the lead going on to the final lap of asking. It went wrong in the hairpin though. Nigel Stock, you were very, very close to your first victory of the season, but a second position, still a very strong result.
Well, yeah, thanks. That's sort of a bit wasn't expecting to get that high, but it was good fun.
Well, it was a great fight out there. You got yourself involved in the collection of cars. You'll be starting in 8th. You need to make your way up, but of course you started that one in 6th. You still made your way up, and it looks like with the amount of towing that there is out there, with the amount of pushing as well, overtaking seems pretty easy. Finding your way to the front seems pretty easy. So do you think you could maybe have another opportunity at a race victory in race 2?
Oh, I'll give it a go. I mean, I think it's got to be in the right place at the right time, really. If you get the tow and loads of other cars behind you getting it as well, it could end up like maybe going forwards or maybe even going backwards if you make just one wrong move, like decide to go down the inside at one corner, lose all the momentum, and then like you could just lose 2 or 3, 4 positions by the time you get to the next corner. So it's got to try and pick your battles when you can, really.
Well, you picked them very well to get yourself up there. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite enough for victory, but second position. Congratulations and good luck for the next race.
Yeah, thanks.
Nigel Stock there, coming home in second position in the end. We saw him fighting it out towards the end. Here, though, at NXTGEN Racing, we're going to take a bit of a break on the broadcast whilst we prepare for the second race of asking. So make sure you don't go anywhere. We will be back in about 5 minutes' time. Make sure you get yourself your popcorn ready and your drinks, because we are going to have another great fight on our hands in about 5 minutes' time. We'll see you then. Hello, everybody, and welcome back here as we prepare for what is going to be the second race of the evening around the fantastic Hockenheimring circuit. And we have got our drivers ready to get out there once more. And after the first race of the day, I said that I would speak to one driver before the break. Well, we are also going to speak to one driver after the break as well. And the driver that we are going to have a quick jump with, if he is able to right now, is the man that took victory in race number 1. Ben, are you there?
I am, yes.
Ben, you took victory again. 4th time this season you've managed to do so in 10 races. It was a bit of a surprise, though, because you started your way down the order on the grid. You had to work your way to the front, and by the last lap of asking, you were at the front. It looked like it might have not been a victory for you, but you managed to extend your championship lead.
Qualifying was difficult. I just couldn't get a solid lap together. Every time I got a good start, something happened at the end, or vice versa, and it didn't put me quite where I wanted to be. But the race went quite well. It was quite hectic throughout all of that. A lot going on everywhere. But yeah, we made it work.
You did. You made it work so well. You came home with race victory by number 4 of the season by the end of it. It does mean that you are going to be starting this one a bit farther back with our top 15 reversed. So that means you've got to make your way back through the order again. You did it in race number 1. Possibilities in race number 2, but with the reverse grid, there's normally always a little bit of carnage as well. How are you planning to go through this one?
Well, I guess at this point, I've already done it once. I may as well give it a try and do it again.
Indeed it is. Well, good luck for the next race, Ben. Let's see if you can go for 5 victories in 11 races.
All right, thank you, mate.
Ben Oucher there. Coming home as a race victor in race number 1. He talked about how he had a bit of a slower qualifying session. He certainly did, but that did not matter. And we talked about that during the practice session as well when we were having our pre-race show. The qualifying is important, getting yourself to the front of the grid, of course. But this circuit provides opportunities for anyone and everyone to get up there, get themselves involved, potentially have a race-winning evening, and we saw that, of course, in the first race of the day as well. There were lots of drivers who found their way to the very front of the order and looked to see if they could potentially take a first win of the season. And, of course, Nigel Stock was a big surprise towards the very front of the order there, looking like he might take victory. And in the end, it was a mistake into the hairpin that cost Stock the victory in race number 1. He'll be starting much further down the order in race number 2. He'll have opportunities to move through. But as we were talking with Ben Oucher, I mentioned it, the reverse grids always do create a little bit of carnage out there. So it's going to be interesting to see if drivers are going to be able to avoid that one for this race. As we say that, we are preparing to go racing in just a moment's time in race number 2. With our reversed grid. We'll talk you through the entire grid order once they get themselves across into that race session. But we are going to have drivers getting a great opportunity in the second race of the day to find themselves towards the front of the order and potentially try to hold on for a race victory. Are we going to see the safety car come out? We saw one big shunt in that race. Of course, we had the opening lap incident, but they kept themselves off the edge of the circuit. That then had that big shunt, of course, into the out of the final turn, I should say. Max Andrews and Phil McDougall coming together after Andrews' initial spin. Contact with Lee Horn collected by Phil McDougall. McDougall taking his car around the circuit pretty broken, but no need for a safety car in the final few minutes of that race. We are going to see if our drivers can get around once again without the safety car. 9 laps of asking, you'd hope there wouldn't be a safety car, and if you do, that it don't be a lap at most, because you don't want to lose too many laps of racing in these sessions. And we'll be hoping that drivers are able to sort themselves out then. Right, let's talk our way through the starting grid for race number 2. It is going to be Dan Beckett. Finished race number 1 and 15th. He'll be the front of our inverted grid. Then in second position is Adrian Ruiz Hernandez. Mark Sykes in third position. Lewis Mason is in starting this one in fourth. Had a Benjamin Gregory. Mark Hughes will be starting in sixth position. Archie Bennett from seventh position ahead of Isaac Doble. William Guthrie in ninth. Lee Horn will be starting in 10th and Nick Clibbins. Jamie Dorey in P number 12. Jack Pittas will be starting 13th position ahead of Nigel Stock. Ben Oucher from 15th. Then Matt Gatter, as Gatter was the first of the drivers to miss out on points and the inverted grid. Let's see what our race 1 victor Ben Oucher is going to be able to do from 15th on the grid. Carl Thompson will be starting in 17th ahead of Phil McDougall. We then see Michael Wade in 19th, Max Andrews in 20th, and Mark Kent in 21st position. No Jonathan Berry in the second race. He's the only driver, it looks like, that we have lost. Right then, we get ourselves onto the grid for this one. We are going to have a little bit of a look because it is going to be Dan Beckett who runs at the very front of the order here, and we are going to get 9 laps on the board after our timed race in race number 1 confirmed. That 9 laps, race number 2 is also going to be that 9 laps of asking here. And then in race number 3 of the day, my prediction skills in my head are going to say we're probably going to see 14, potentially 15 laps of asking in the third and final race of the day. That will be your full inverted course as long as you are not any more than 1 lap down. 9 laps on the board here for race number 2 and the Hockenheimring. We are green and we are away, but Lee Horn is not away there on the starting line. It looks like everyone has avoided Horn off the starting blocks, which is excellent news. No accident along there, and they'll all get themselves racing without issues through the rest of the field. Then we come up towards turn number 2. That's a few drivers picking up grass, and somehow we're going to go about 4 wide into towards turn number 2. Settles it into 3 wide as we make it way through the corner, but that is going to be sideways and falling down the order. The man who started on pole position, Dan Beckett, has found himself at the rear of the field. It was a mighty high into a mighty low. The higher you go, the lower you can fall, of course, and that's not the way that Dan Beckett would have hoped for race number 2 to get started. We head up towards the hairpin, and Adrian Hernandez has given himself a bit of breathing space at the very front of this one. Again, we're going about 3 wide into the hairpin, through turn number 1, out of turn number 6, I should say, at the hairpin, and we get back onto the throttle, and once again, drivers not deciding to go down into 2 wide, not deciding to go down into single file. Hey no, let's go 3 wide once more, up towards turn number 11 of Mobile 1 here, and for the most part, there is 2x2 still. As we come in towards turn number 11, this is the corner that will set a lot of them out, and that's a bit of carnage in the midfield there as we see Ben Oucher. Ben Oucher is one of those that has fallen down, and Oucher, I talked about the highs and the lows, and for Oucher it is a broken car that will call an end to his race here in race number 2. He will have to come down pit lane, keep it within a lap of the race lead, and he will be starting the next race in pole position at this rate. So just get it through to the end. He won't be getting good points out of this round, that is for sure. We jump back towards the middle end of the field here, and the back end of the field even, as they finally sort themselves out. But on the opening lap of asking, Adrian Hernandez has led the way. He moved up from second on the grid. Mark Sykes started third on the grid. He's moved himself into second, but Doble, 8th on the grid. He is up to 3rd position, and after finding himself spinning in race number 1, he'll be hoping that he finds himself facing the right way all the way around the lap this time. As we come up towards the hairpin, it is going to be the inside line for Doble, and he is going to look to the inside of Hernandez as well. And for Isaac Doble, he's looking for race victory. Doble and Oucher, the only 2 drivers to have won in the last six individual races. No, 5 individual races. Looking to make it 6. It is 4 wide for second position, as drivers are looking to find anything that they possibly can. It is going to be 4 wide. Mark Sykes here in that white green machine is going to be one of those in the middle, along with Clibbins. He backs out of it. The 2 gassed up motorsport drivers come together though, and it is going to be Hernandez off at turn number 11, falling down the order. Drivers are going to try and squeeze through. That was Dory, who was hit there from Guthrie. A little bit of a tap. It meant Dory slid into the hairpin, has given up a couple of positions, but that was a lot of cars coming together in a very small space there. William Guthrie looking to move back up the order. He did a great job moving up the order in race number 1 from the back of the field to 7th position. He's up to 8th now. He started only in 9th, so he's going to be wanting to find a few more positions in that early doors here. Hernandez looking to try and gain some positions back after falling down at turn number 11. He goes to the inside of Mark Hughes and looking to get that inside line into turn number 2, and Jamie Dory is looking to follow through as well. Hughes though keeps the speed on the outside into turn number 4. Hughes is actually going to get up the inside of Hernandez as well, but it's a bit too much curbing, and for Hughes, he goes barrel rolling on the exit of turn number 3. Mark Hughes finds himself upside down at the end of turn number 3. He caught the curbing on the inside. It was enough to lose the rear end. And for Hughes, a massive accident in that one. We ride on board with Hughes. You can see he caught that curbing, lost the rear end of the car, a hit with the wall, and for Hughes, it was just over and over and over until he had nowhere left to go. And for Mark Hughes, that is not what he would have hoped for. We go back into live positions here, and that's because Jack Pittas and Archie Bennett are fighting it out for a top 4 spot at the moment. It is going to be the inside line here for Bennett, as Pittas tries to keep it on the outside line. Sykes keeping them at bay for the time being as we come through the 13 and 14 corners. Sykes keeps himself ahead. Bennett keeping that outside line. Just behind, that's Guthrie to the inside of Lewis Mason as well. Mason finds himself slightly off the circuit and back down the order. That was kicking up off the gravel there from Sykes. Pittas to the inside. Bennett to the outside. Guthrie looking to the inside of Bennett as well. He just couldn't quite get a nose in. That was a little bit of a touch with Mason on the rear end of Guthrie as we head up towards turn number 2. A new paint scheme on that rear end there. Oh, sorry, on that car, not just on the rear end, but on the whole car for Lewis Mason. In towards turn number 2 is the title line once more for Bennett. Guthrie carries speed on the outside, and Lewis Mason now looks to try and take advantage of that one as well as we come through the final few corners and up towards the hairpin. The first few corners and up towards the hairpin. It is going to be 3 wide once more. Jamie Dory looking to try and move up the position. He's to the right-hand side here. He tucks back in to the left as Bennett is going to try to get to the inside of Lewis Mason onto the brake. Certainly going to do it. It's 4 wide in the background, and that is some inevitable contact there, and Mark Kent one of those. It was contact up ahead as well as drivers come through the corners, a few of them facing the wrong way, including William Guthrie. He's found himself going the wrong way in this these fights out there as well. You can see up ahead Doble and Clemens just pushing each other around the circuit for the time being. They're not fighting it out in these early stages of the race just yet, but we keep an eye on how they're doing. Michael Wade is side by side here with Hernandez trying to look up the order. He's drops behind a little bit, but now he can get to the inside of Hernandez. Hernandez runs the outer wider line through turn number 12. Wade's going to get his car in side by side here, looking to keep it to the outside into the final 2 corners. In fact, he's looking to try and switch it across there. Hernandez pushes it out wide. Wade is going to get the inside line here through the final turn. Michael Wade looking for 11th position in this race. He came home in 19th with no points on the board in race number 1. He's up 7 positions so far, looking for 8 if he can confirm it past Hernandez. He gets the inside line through turn number 1 there. It is going to be Wade looking to go defensive up towards turn number 2. Hernandez back to the outside. It's getting pushed though by McDougall. Behind McDougall looking to do better than race number 1. There's contact. Wade finds himself around. McDougall for the second time in this race is going to find himself in a collision. He gets himself back going though, and that was Guthrie over the grass, trying to avoid all of the cars that were scattering in front of him, but that drops Wade back out of the points. Lee Horn did not get off of the line at the start of this one, dropped down to 21st position. Guess what? He's already back up to 9th position. He started on the grid in 10th, so you'd never tell that he fell to the very end of the field on the opening lap of Asking. That is what happened. Jamie Dory leading Archie Bennett here. They are fighting it out. It doesn't look like they will catch up to the race leaders unless they get into a proper fight out there. So therefore this fight for third is just going to keep on going on, and Archie Bennett goes to the inside, and here comes Benjamin Gregory. He was in the potential for the win in race number 1 until he found himself spinning as well. He's gone to the inside of you with 3 wide through turn number 11, with 3 wide into turn 12. It's never going to work, and we find Archie Bennett and Benjamin Gregory off the circuit at turn number 11. Gregory gets himself back on a bit quicker than Bennett, but they return in 12th and 13th points each as we come through the turn number 1 here for Bennett. He's got Guthrie just on ahead of him, who's also looking to try and return in this one. Gregory trying to get back up the order, gets the inside of Hernandez, who'll look to keep it up the inside of Mark Kennett as well. A little bit of a touch there with Hernandez, who is dealing with some front end damage, but has to stay there for the time being. As we now look at Max Andrews, he's looking to go back up the order as well after finding himself going down in race number 1. He's looking to find his way back towards the front. He is up 15 spots in this race, starting 20th on the grid. He is up to 5th place right now, and he could take a podium position. He's only got to get past Mason and Dory ahead. The gap on the lead right now is, he keeps on getting close. You can see it keeps on going to less than a 10th of a second, but if you are watching them, you'll notice that they are not actually going for any overtakes, which is why we have not been jumping back towards them at any point, because they will likely not do any of well, they'll likely not do any fighting until the last lap of Asking. I expect Clibbins to try and make the move past Doble on the very last lap of this race. Not waiting till the last lap of the race is Max Andrews. He goes to the inside of Jamie Dory, and after falling down the order with major contact, he is up 17 spots in race number 2. Max Andrews proving that you can work your way through the field on this race, and he's managed to work his way all the way up to 3rd, but without someone supporting him, I doubt he will find himself climbing any higher than 3rd position in this race. The gap to the lead, about 4.8 seconds. We come through the final turn of Asking, and we come up towards the timing line as I look over at the Discord chat, and the commentators guys coming the way of Ben Oucher once more. And if we look at it like that, I don't think anyone's going to like to be pulled into the commentary booth at the end of these races. So hopefully we can still have a word with a few drivers at the end of this one. Guthrie defending from Wade, defending from Bennett. These drivers have all had issues and fallen down the order, all fighting for the bottom end of the points in race number 2 here. Wade, though, to the inside of Guthrie, doesn't quite make his work on that one, and here comes Archie Bennett to switch across on the exit of turn number 4, and he makes his way through. So Bennett now up into 14th with Guthrie dropping back behind for the time being. Phil McDougall here is all over the rear end of Matt Gatter. McDougall found his way up the order, found his way back down the order after some issues and some contact, of course, earlier on in the race. And once again, Wade is going for the move. It's a little bit of a nudge again with Guthrie. It's given him a very slow exit here, and now he's going to have to the outside Archie Bennett, to the inside Nigel Stock, and there's constant contact between the two of these two. They're both of them saying, I don't want to give you space. No, I don't want to give you space. Well, they have given each other just enough space here, and they've given Nigel Stock race 2. He is down in 16th position after finishing race number 1 in 2nd. He's not finding as much luck this time around. However, he is trying to fight to get into those point-paying positions that are on offer. The top 15 are your points paying positions. No longer do you have to get into the top 15 for the invert. Of course, race number 3 is your full invert as long as you are no more than 1 lap down. And fortunately for all our drivers, every single person is still on the lead lap of asking, including drivers that have had to come down pit lane for damage, Ben Oucher, and of course the driver we saw upside down, Mark Hughes. Was it Dan Beckett? No, Beckett was the driver we saw upside down, was it not? He's had some issues in this one. Overall, he's fallen down though, but no, it was Hughes who went upside down earlier on in the race. Bennett has just had his Beckett just had his own issues in this one. Lee Horn here over the rear end of Jamie Dory. Now we saw a little bit of next gen nastiness in race number 1, a bit of bumping and banging between the 2 next gen teams. Of course, they normally run in separate teams anyway. No teams in this championship, although you will see those affiliations out there. They aren't running for a team's points or anything like that, but Dory and Horn have certainly been pushing each other a little bit to the limit in this evening's races. We are going to get one more lap of asking. The reason that I mention that now is because Nick Clibbins is going to be looking at Isaac Doble and thinking, right, white flag time, where am I going to make my move? My main opportunity is going to be into the hairpin, there is no doubt about that. Try to make that overtake for the race lead through the hairpin, get a good exit, a good amount of speed, and try to carry the speed all the way up towards Mobile 1, turn number 11 into this arena section. Right, we come through the final turn, and I can't believe we're already there, but it is the final lap of race number 2 already here at Next Gen for the Toyota GR86s. Round number 4, we've still got one more race to go with a full invert, a longer race, of course, in the final race of the day. Nick Clibbins then all over the rear end of Doble. Clibbins last took victory at Portland. Oucher took victory in race number 1. He's down the order. Doble took victory last time out. 2 race victories this season, both of them coming at Mugello. Oucher and Doble have been the only race winners since, you guessed it, Nick Clibbins. Is he able to put the sandwich in all of this fight? He's going to move it to the right-hand side here and go to the inside, up towards the hairpin. It is side by side, a little bit of a nudging there. Doble gets onto the racing line. Looks like he's going to go for the later braking there. Clibbins going for the early braking, forcing Doble onto the slightly wider line. But with that wider line, Doble is going to be able to carry the speed on the exit. Clibbins, though, has got his car to the inside, and he is going to be able to keep it there up towards turn number 11 of Mobile 1. It's the fight for the lead. Is Doble going to take victory number 3? Is Clibbins going to take victory number 2? It's a fight for third behind between Andrews and Dory. It is going to be Clibbins to the inside, and here comes Doble up towards turn number 12, I should say. It is going to be the inside line for Doble, the long way around to hold it for Clibbins, but keeping his car there. It will be the inside in the final 2 corners. Doble backs out, tries to do the switch back and across to the inside line. He's not going to get it. Clibbins is going to go defensive through the final corners. It's all going to be about the exit, but Nick Clibbins is going to take victory in race number 2, putting a sandwich in the whole Doble Oucher affair in race victories. Dory missing out to Max Andrews at the last hurdle there. And Andrews will take a podium in race number 2, up 17 positions in this race. A fantastic climb for the number 8 machine. Jack Pittas came home in 8th position in the end, and Ben Oucher, victory in race 1. He'll find himself in 20th. Hughes will find himself in 21st, and crucially for Hughes, find himself in pole position. Importantly, for Ben Oucher, he is going to find himself on the front row of the grid for race number 3, exactly where he started race number 1, which he then went on to take victory. Ben Oucher will be enjoying that one. Doble missing out to victory by less than a 10th of a second at the end of it. Some fantastic fighting for our drivers out there. So let's have a quick look at our race results following the following the second race of the day. And it was victory for Nick Clibbins, less than a tenth of a second clear of Isaac Doble, who led all of that race since he moved into the lead. Clibbins, though, just waiting behind until that last lap. You knew it was coming, and he did a great job of holding on to that lead through the final few corners. Max Andrews, after getting taken out in race number 1, up 17 places in race number 2, finds himself in 3rd position by the end of that one. 4th position in the end for Jamie Dory. Still a strong result for him, as is for Lee Horn. 5th position, then 6th position with Lewis Mason ahead of Carl Thompson. Jack Pittas in 8th position ahead of Mark Sykes. Benjamin Gregory rounded out your top 10 in this one. Mark Kent finished in 11th ahead of Adrian Hernandez. Michael Wade on 13th ahead of Archie Bennett. Matt Gatter from 15th. Nigel Stock from 16th. William Guthrie from 17th ahead of Phil McDougall. Dan Beckett finished that one in 19th position after starting at the very front of the order. He fell down on the opening lap of the race. Ben Oucher coming home in 20th after having to go down pit lane for damage. And of course we saw the rollover from Mark Hughes. Well, he kept on the lead lap of Asking, finishing 21st position, but we'll be starting the final race of the day on pole position. Right then, out of all of that, we'll have a see who we can talk to. That one we'll do again. One quick word with drivers before the before the break, and then one driver after the break as well. I think that's a great way to do this one. So it is going to be let's talk. I know that Ben Oucher will not want to listen to us again because he'll be thinking that will be bad news for him. There's no Clibbins around. So instead we'll talk to the man who just missed out, just like we did in race number 1. We'll talk to Isaac. Isaac, can you hear us? You managed, you managed to come home then in 2nd position. It was leading most of that way after making your way up from 8th on the grid. Nick was behind you. You knew what he was going to do and wait till that last lap, and it looked like you might have had an opportunity through the final arena section to hold on to it. It wasn't quite to be, but after the demise in race number 1, race number 2, a 2nd place, it's some strong points on the board.
Yeah, as you say, some good points. It was a good, clean, fair race there at the end with Nick. I knew he was going to come for me on the last lap. It was just where he'd do it and how, really, and whether I could defend him off, which I couldn't do that time.
Well, it is the first time since the race 2 at Portland that we haven't seen yourself or Oucher in race victory. Clibbins is the one that took victory before that. He's taken it now. Do you think that you can regain it in the next one? It's a long way to go from the back of the field, but Max Andrews, he finished in 3rd just behind you. He came up the grid from 20th on the grid. So the opportunity to move up is there.
Yeah, it's definitely possible to come from the back and win. I did it last week, maybe I can, or 2 weeks ago, and I'll try and repeat that today.
Well, let's see if you can take a victory this evening. It's 2 so far this season. Good luck with race number 3, Isaac.
Thank you.
Isaac Doble there, coming home in 2nd position. We'll be hoping, like he said, to repeat his feat 2 weeks ago at Mugello, that he came from the back of the field to take victory in that one. Let's see what he is able to do in race number 3 today. We will be back in about 5 minutes' time here on the broadcast, so that we can bring you the 3rd and final race. Remember, it's a full inverted grid and the longer race of the day. So if you haven't already done so, make sure that you have got your snacks and your drinks ready, and you've hit that subscribe button, that follow button, that like button, whatever button there is to show your support and to be notified when we are live again. Next Gen Racing will be back on the GT3 Championship on Thursday. The NXTCC next Tuesday. We'll be back for the GR86s in 2 weeks' time. We've got one more race to go. We'll be back in about 5 minutes' time. everybody, and welcome back here to the third and final race of the evening. The fourth round of competition has gone well for previous race winners. Ben Oucher took victory in the first round of asking. It has been his fourth win of the season so far in the opening 11 races. and he is looking to potentially take a 5th win because he will be starting 2nd position in this race. And then, of course, for the 2nd time this season, Nick Clibbins went on to take victory in race number 2. He started race 1 on pole position. It didn't quite go his way, so he'll be happy to chalk up a 2nd win on the board. Now, before the break, we did not move on to our championship standings out of the opening 2 races of the evening. So we'll have a quick peek at our top 10 going into this race, and then we will have a look at our top 10, well, a whole championship out of this race. Ben Oucher, after extending his lead in race number 1, it's fallen down significantly out of race number 2. Only 5 points now separate Oucher and Pittas. Pittas is going to have a lot of work to do, though, in this one. He'll be starting in about 13th or 14th position on the grid with Oucher all the way at the very front. So we need to keep an eye out on that one because Oucher could find his way back, extending out at the top. We could see Pittas falling his way back down, though. Isaac Doble sitting in 4th position right now. He should be able to take enough points, potentially, in this 3rd race of asking to get past Adam Wilson-Weir and into the top 3 in the championship. No Wilson-Weir here today as a reminder, which means he's missing out on those points. Lee Horn sits in 5th position right now. 107 points to his name. Jamie Dorey with 97. William Guthrie with 80. Phil McDougall in 8th position. Nick Clibbins in 9th. And Nigel Stock is up into the top 10. Of course, a strong result in race number 1, getting that 2nd position. And then in race number 2 for Stock, he was outside the points, finishing in 16th. But he is up there right now. Inside that top 10, with Alan McCain falling outside the top 10 at the end of the 2nd race of asking. We will have another look at your championship standings at the end of the broadcast, because that will be your championship standings, and these are your official championship standings as it is, with a certain unnamed admin who has not sorted out the iRace results championship standings. So what I say goes. So if I say that Ben Oucher is leading the championship by 5 points, that is what is going on. Ben Oucher is leading the championship by 5 points. So in this lay of the land, I rule the nest at the moment. But we are going to be getting ready for the 3rd and final race of the day. Before we get on to that one, though, we'll have a quick word with one of our drivers who they keep on changing their names now in the Discord, which is making this incredibly challenging. They're obviously having a little bit of fun, but we will have a word here with the man that in race number 1 managed to move up his order from the very back of the field up to 7th. It looked like it could have been a great run in race number 2, but William Guthrie found himself going around. It's been a bit of an up and down evening for you, but you will find yourself towards the front once more in race number 3.
As qualifying finish, because I was out giving my mate a lift, so I haven't done any laps, so I was figuring out the track on the first lap. So yeah, pace seems alright. I'm just kind of following what everybody else does, but no, the pace seems good. But I'll see what I can do in this 25-minute race. If I could stop falling off the circuit, that'd be a good start.
Keeping on the track is definitely important. It's getting it down to the end in a good position. You find yourself climbing up the championship order, and even without any practice laps around here, you have got some significant pace out there. So is there potential, if you can keep it on the track, that you might find your way to the very front of this one?
I mean, I could surely probably get a top 5, but I don't think I'll be able to beat the likes of Isaac and Ben, because they're actually pretty quick and they actually know what they're doing, whereas I'm just guessing what I'm doing.
Well, with the commentator's curse, I'm hoping it won't come on you in this race. We'll see you up the order. For Ben, though, I might pull him in just to get him falling back down for you again. Have a good one in race number 3 there. William Guthrie finishing the previous race of the day outside the points, 17th place for him. What that should mean, though, is he should find himself in 5th position on the grid. Talking about the grid, let's not predict positions anymore. Let's tell you. It is going to be 14 laps of asking for this final race of the day, and it is going to be Mark Hughes, who starts from the very front of the order ahead of Ben Oucher. Dan Beckett, I should say, starts in 3rd position ahead of Phil McDougall, and the man we just spoke to, William Guthrie. We'll keep our fingers crossed there that we don't do any commentator's curse for speaking to him. We'll be starting in 5th, Nigel Stock from 6th position. Then it'll be Matt Gatter from 7th, Michael Wade in 8th, ahead of Adrian Hernandez starting in 9th, clear of Mark Kent. Benjamin Gregory will be on the grid in 11th, ahead of Mark Sykes. 13th position. Oh, we go a bit too far there. 13th position will be for Jack Pittas, ahead of Carl Thompson. Lewis Mason from 15th, Ella Lee Horn. Jamie Dory from 17th. Max Andrews will be starting us from 18th. I know there's a lot of sports in the YouTube chat for Max Andrews. See if he can find his way back up the order again. Isaac Doble will be starting in 19th. Nick Clibbins on the back of the field in 20th. We'll be looking to find his way through the order as well. And again, we spoke to Isaac Doble after race number 2. So again, we will put our fingers crossed that commentator's curse is not a real thing whenever I bring them into the commentary box. And hopefully Doble and Guthrie here can have a good race and find themselves toward the front. No safety cars have been needed today. We've had a couple of decent smashes. We've had a rollover as well, but we've had nothing that is significant enough to warrant a safety car as it stands with the longer 14-lap race, though. I know that there is more likely a chance for a safety car because it doesn't eat into as many racing, well, it eats into the same amount of racing laps. We have a lot more racing laps left to stand, so it's going to be interesting to see what we can do. It is going to be Ben Oucher from the front row again, but it is going to be Mark Hughes who will be getting us underway from the very front of this field after finishing race number 2 in 21st position. He'll be starting this one in 1st position. Here we go. It is going to be, oh, it says time there. We aren't going to do that. We are going to have 14 laps on the board here for the 3rd and final race of the day in the Toyota GR86s. We are green and away here, up towards turn number 1 we go. Everyone gets off the line this time. No one bogging down or getting, well, just sitting still on the line as we come up towards turn number 1, though. Everyone getting through cleanly. A couple of side-by-side moments in the background and in the midfield, but everyone does get through without incident, as that is Ben Oucher already clear at the front of this one ahead of Mark Hughes. It is William Guthrie on the outside of Phil McDougall, and Guthrie already up 2 positions here, up into a top 3 spots. He said he was aiming for a top 5. He started there. He's keeping it right now with that 3rd position. We come up towards the hairpin here. Jack Pittas ahead of Matt Gatter as he's just made that switch in 8th and 9th position. Lee Horn getting past Hernandez as well. Horn up 6 positions through the opening corners. He's your biggest gainer at the moment. So as we get onto the brakes, there's contact though, and we see Nigel Stock going around. It was the highs of race number 1. It has fallen to the absolute pits of race number 3 here, as we can see the leading 5 drivers all in a single file train. A little bit of a gap between each of them at the moment as we come up towards turn number 11, mobile 1. Drivers just thinking, is there any way through? Michael Wade is going to look to the inside of Benjamin Gregory up towards turn number 11. He doesn't quite do it, and it is going to be side by side just up ahead as well, with Gatter trying to hold position. It is going to be Kent all the way around the outside, and it is going to be Matt Gatter. Contact there, finds himself spinning. There's contact with others as well. And that looked like a lot of cars picking up some sort of damage there, but most of them look like they're going to be getting out this without too many issues. That is a big old wobble for Nick Clibbins, who had managed to find his way very far through the field on the opening lap of Asking. He has fallen back down though. Mark Kent now to the outside of Lee Horn as we look for the fight here for 6th position as it stands. It is going to be 3 wide for this battle. It's going to be a little bit of a nudge there with Jack Pittas involved as well. And it is going to settle themselves down in the 3 wide to a 2 wide. It's going to be around the outside for Mark Kent. He's going to try and switch it across here as Pittas is going to look to the inside of Horn as well. Guthrie and Hughes are going at it at the front. Guthrie has got past Hughes for 2nd position, but Mark Hughes is going to try and make his way back through on this one. We get in towards the braking zone here for the hairpin. It's going to be the outside line for Hughes, and it's going to invite Phil McDougall to that inside line here. If these guys keep on fighting, it could allow Oucher to gain enough of a gap that there is not going to be any opportunity for anyone to step up to him. This is going to be Mark Mark Kent. He is holding on right now ahead of Lee Horn. Horn, though, to that right-hand side of the circuit, looking to try and get to the inside of turn number 11. That's exactly where he's going to be able to place himself. Jack Pittas pushing Horn through as well. They're going to go side by side. Pittas to the inside there of Kent. There's going to be a little bit of a nudge. Kent picks up the gravel, but he is going to keep himself on the inside into turn number 12. Pittas having to try and do it the long way round now, but by keeping it on that right-hand side, it will turn to the inside line in the final few corners. That's exactly where he's going to keep himself there. Is Pittas. Kent, though, is going to keep it around the outside and try to counter the speed. Can't quite do it in the early stage of that one. Up a few positions is Max Andrews. He's looking to try and get past Michael Wade here up towards turn number 1 as well. He's to the inside of Wade. There's going to be a nudge, another nudge, another nudge. It's going to force Andrews to the cut turn number 1. That's going to be a potential slowdown for Max Andrews that he will be having to give up. He will not be happy with the fact that he's just had to cut turn number 1 though. Isaac Doble is on the outside of Hernandez and Gregory there, trying to get it all the way around the outside, and Doble up 8 positions in the early stages of this race into 11th, looking to try and take victory in race number 3 that he just missed out on in race number 2. Jamie Dory, Jack Pittas and Mark Kent continue to fight. They are looking for 7th position up towards the hairpin here, but they remain side by side at the front there between Kent and Pittas. Pittas going for the tighter line. Dory looking for the speed on the exit. He settles in behind Pittas for the time being, but Kent got the better exit out of the hairpin there, and he maintains his position at the very front. At the front of this one, Guthrie and McDougall, who have made their way past Mark Hughes, have stopped fighting as hard here, and they have decided to work together a little bit to catch up to Ben Oucher. That's exactly what they've done, and if they saw what was going on in race number 2, they'll be thinking, let's stay behind until the final lap of asking. Pittas here goes to the inside, so goes to the outside of Mark Kent once more. Again, it is going to go the way of Kent, but that's going to open the door for Jamie Dory. Dory now on the left-hand side, we're looking to carry it all the way around. Pittas has to back out into penultimate turn. This could invite, though, Lewis Mason towards the inside line, and it's contact in the background. More cars spinning, more cars collected in all of that. Mark Sykes was the last driver caught up in that one, but it was Benjamin Gregory and Michael Wade that have found themselves going around. And let's have a look through the final corner here. Gregory to the inside of Wade. No way that door was open for Gregory. The two drivers find themselves together. A shame for Wade, who has been involved in one too many incidents for his liking. What it does mean, though, in all of that we saw, Matt Gattel was caught up in his own issues. He has picked up a meatball flag, which means he is going to have to be doing this one. Oh, in fact, let's have a proper look at what happened to Gatta here. This was the contact from behind. We saw Gatta go around, and then it was the collection and the hit there from Mark Sykes. And for Gatta, that does mean he is going to find himself towards the rear end of this field with that meatball flag as well, and the damage to his name. Guthrie has found his way into the lead past Ben Oucher up towards the hairpin. It looks like that one's occurred. So what I thought might have been a little bit of let's just wait behind till the final lap does not come the way of William Guthrie. He wanted to take a top 5. He said, I don't think I'm fast enough to beat Oucher. Well, the way to prevent that from happening is keep Oucher behind him. So Guthrie has moved through into the lead of this one, and we'll see very quickly if we can check that out before there's potentially any more overtakes going on between them. And it is up towards the hairpin here. William Guthrie goes to the right-hand side, carries the speed, carries the overlap, and it will be done on the brakes here from William Guthrie to the inside of Ben Oucher. He even gets across back to the racing line there. It invites for a moment Phil McDougall to the inside, but as we saw when we went back live, Ben Oucher just got the speed over Phil McDougall. We return to live pictures. Isaac Doble is into 9th position right now. He has gone up 10 places in this race. He's still not the biggest gainer. That goes the way of Lee Horn, who's up to 5th. He started 16th on the grid, so he's up 11 in this race. Other drivers are trying to find their way through the order right now. Max Andrews up to 12th. Nick Clibbins up to 13th. We've already seen him, though, with issues in this one. Jamie Dory is up to 8th position as well, so some big gainers some big losers as well on the left-hand side following their early issues. Matt Gatta has come down pit lane, got his car fixed, and returns to the racing circuit. We are back towards the battle here. Ben Oucher holds the inside line on Phil McDougall. This time there's a little bit of a nudge between the two of them through the corner. There's a nudge on them on the exit as well. Oucher flashes his lights. They don't want to lose William Guthrie. Guthrie moves across to the right-hand side to pull Oucher, not McDougall, and then comes up towards turn number 11. Oucher is going to stay ahead of McDougall here, and he'll have the inside line as well, which means he can confirm P number 2 for the time being. But it is going to be a good exit from Phil McDougall through turn 11 into 12. He goes for the late move there, jumps to the inside, and Mark Hughes is sitting just behind this fight thinking, how can I get a podium in this race? He's going to stay to the inside for Oucher. McDougall running that outside line, that wider line. He tucks in behind though, and now pushing for the speed on the exit. Pushes a bit too hard though, over the gravel, over the glass. Can Phil McDougall keep it together? He certainly does. McDougall gets it back straight again in the fight that was going on between them. Some issues for Carl Thompson as he finds himself falling down with issues. What has happened to Thompson here? Oh, a little bit of a nudge there with one of the gassed up drivers, and a big hit into the wall for Thompson. He does manage to get his car around, and because he was right at the end of the lap as well, it means he has not had to go too far to get his car back down pit lane, which he has managed to do. So Thompson will be down pit lane. He'll get his car fixed and back out on track. It does promote Matt Gatta up into 19th, though they're going to have to hope for some demises from 4 more cars ahead of them, though, in order to get even just a singular point in this third and final race of the day. Max Andrews is looking to try and get into the top 10 here, looks to the inside of Lewis Mason. Mason is going to try and keep it around the outside, but Andrews is going to keep it tight there. Mason with the speed on the exit is going to keep a top 10 position for the time being. Ben Oucher is all over the rear end of William Guthrie and has decided not to overtake Guthrie. Now are we going to see a race number 2 repeat with just sticking behind until the very last lap? There is potential, but Mark Hughes is not too far off the fight, and I'm sure he will be wanting to get involved in the leading battle, potentially take a victory. Andrews stuck on the outside once more of Lewis Mason here. If he can keep his nose in, he'll have the inside through the penultimate 2 corners. He is keeping his nose in here, and Andrews is going to have the inside there to Lewis Mason, and Andrews gets it done through turn number 15. Max Andrews now up 8 positions in this race into a top 10 spot, and he can see that fight up to 5th position. In front of him right now, Lee Horn is at the front of this train of drivers. They are about 5 seconds behind your top 4, and therefore we're not likely to see them moving up any further. So the battles in this group of drivers is likely to continue as they come in towards turn number 2 and on towards the parabolica here. Ben Oucher continuing to push Guthrie. It's meaning that Mark Hughes is dropping back. He's not able to get into that toe, that bump draft working together at the front of this one, which means that Oucher looks like he might be safe in 2nd position for the time being. Who's not safe is Jamie Dory. Got Mark Kent on the outside, Dory to the inside, looking for 6th position in this fight, but that's going to be Kent pushing himself very wide out of the hairpin, loses out to Dory. Could have Isaac Doble started this one in 19th position. Is looking to try and move further up the order here. He sits in 8th right now. As we come up towards turn number 11, Doble is going to have the inside to Ken. Andrews is on the inside of Pittas behind, as well as they fight out for positions. Kent holds on to Doble, and now Doble could be under attack. Pittas for a moment looked to go to the inside, backed out of that one. Sensible choice too, and it looks like he might have just given that position ahead though. So Mark Kent runs off the track, comes back on. There's a little bit of a wobble, a lot of grass there. Surely will be having to slow that car down and give him that position as he turns back onto the circuit. Kent ran off the track there, and as he came back on, there were already multiple cars to his inside, and unfortunately for Jack Pittas, he was the unfortunate number 28 machine that collected Mark Kent on his return to the racing surface there. Dan Beckett behind is looking to try and keep a position on Nigel Stock, but Stock on a recovery drive after going down early. So is Gregory here, looks to the inside, and here comes Mark Sykes, who was caught up in the earlier incident as well, looking to try and get up the order. You can see that front end damage on Sykes' car, luckily not too major. Gregory gets his way up the order, so does Sykes. Beckett falls out of points paying positions. Jamie Dory looks like he might start working with Lee Horn here, dropping Isaac Doble back and preventing Doble from climbing any more. That may be what is the plan is. It doesn't look like that is what is happening right now, because we get into the hairpin. Doble and Andrews closes straight back up onto the rear fight there, and we ride on board with Max Andrews. He's running around in 8th position right now, looking towards that top 5. It looks like it might be the highest that they are able to go. Mark Hughes, though, is inviting himself back closer and closer towards your leading 2 drivers. He could potentially find himself back into a fight for victory on the last lap of asking if he can just keep it clean and keep it within about a second as he drops further back here. If he can keep it within about a second, if the drivers ahead of him start making issues, or having issues, especially on the last lap of the race, Mark Hughes could greatly benefit from that. Max Andrews riding board with the number 14 machine coming through the final corners. Isaac Doble just up ahead. Jamie Dory ahead of that, and Lee Horn at the front of this train for 5th position, looking to try and get some good points on the board in the championship under the way of Isaac Doble. Oucher looking to extend his championship lead, and with Pittas, who sits in second all the way down in 11th place on track right now. That looks like it could happen as Lewis Mason and Nick Clibbins swap positions in their fight. As Clibbins goes up to 9th and his recovery drive as well. Clibbins, remember, started from the very back of this one, but here comes Lewis Mason to try and get the switch across and make his way back through, and he is going to get pushed along there by Jack Pittas. Nick Clibbins may either have damage or a slowdown out of that one, because he has backed out significantly there. As we come up towards the hairpin here, Isaac Doble looks to try and go to the inside of Jamie Dory. Dory to the outside of Lee Horn. Dory's got a good line there. If he can get the speed on the exit, Dory could get this position over Horn. Doble keeps the inside line on Max Andrews. Andrews looking to properly get himself involved in the fight here in his first event of the season. He's going to hold to the inside behind Lee Horn. Lee Horn drops behind Jamie Dory ever so slightly. He's still got major overlap and have the inside into turn number 11. Dory backs out on that wider line. You don't want to run onto the gravel, so has to give up position to Horn early in the corner, but he'll have to go again into turn number 12. He goes late onto the brakes, jumps up the inside of Horn. Horn, if he can carry this outside line, though, will be positioned if he can keep it for the inside into the final 2 corners here. And Doble just behind will know that opportunity well and think, how can I benefit from this and get to the inside of Dory as well. But for the time being, it is side by side between Horn and Dory. For a moment, Doble looked like he might have made it 3 wide. He knows sensibly. Back out of that, let's just go 2 wide. In fact, Doble backs out to the rear of this train of drivers into turn number 1. Let's avoid any instance up towards the first turn, trying to go 3 wide through a corner that can't even be completed 1 wide very easily. Inside track limits. It's going to be side by side once again between Andrews and Doble. Doble looking for the outside line, and through turn number 4 it will give him the inside onto Parabolica, and he places his car ahead of Max Andrews for the time being. Andrews, though, is going to move to the left and out of the toe. Interestingly, Doble now drops to the left-hand side and looking to go around the outside of Lee Horn. Jamie Dory right now can see these cars squabbling in his mirror and thinking, I just need to run my line. I don't need to get involved in defending just yet. What that does mean is Doble runs wide out of the hairpin. Dory goes all the way to the right-hand side. He wants to go as defensive as possible, and Max Andrews is going to make this 3 wide for the time being as they come up towards turn number 11. Lights flashing from Andrews on the rear end of Dory. Dory is going to be able to hold that inside line for the time being as we come up towards turn number 11. Dory goes out to the racing line. Andrews tries to follow him but Andrews is up into 6th position with that. Following Dory was the choice of action. Off in the background there is going to be Clibbins and Lewis Mason. Clibbins already going around on the early in this race, and he goes into the wall on the exit of turn number 11. Your race 2 winner will fall out of the points here in race number 3. Lewis Mason falls to 14th position. It was a little nudge. It looked like it might have been a slide initially that caused all of that. No, there was definitely a nudge there from Clibbins on the rear end of Mason. It found them both around. Mason gets himself turned without hitting the wall. Clibbins spins into the wall there, and a shame for Clibbins. And that one a shame for Mason as well. He falls down into 14th position. Back though towards this fight for 6th position as Max Andrews has pulled himself away significantly. A second clear here of the fight between Doble, Horn, Pittas. Dory has dropped to the back of this one. So a number of changes there in all of the incidents that were going on. Doble, though, is going to hold the right-hand side of the track. Try to go to the inside line here on Lee Horn into the braking zone. A little bit of a nudge, a secondary nudge there. Both drivers are wide. Horn basically off the track. Jack Pittas has to do evasive manoeuvres on the way back in. Swings to the right-hand side. We look at that gap between the leading two, but once again, Oucher just staying behind Guthrie. That will be a last lap fight again, as Mark Hughes and Phil McDougall might go out at it for 3rd position. McDougall has made his way past Hughes rather recently. Now then, this is going to be the outside line for Horn on Jack Pittas. It's going to be a little bit of smoke and gravel being kicked up by a number of drivers coming through there as we head up towards 3 laps to go. But for the time being, it is going to be a spin for Jamie Dory. He spins out of turn number 12, gets it back straight again. Is this going to be enough time for Mark Kent to benefit? Dory gets himself to the left-hand side as he tries to recover. He has to give position up to Mark Kent, but Dory down now to 10th position and will have to try and fight it out there. He's got Gregory, Stock and Sykes in that chain of drivers as well, as McDougall goes defensive in his drive now to try and hold on to a podium ahead of Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes has done a fantastic job. Remember, he's had issues in the first 2 races. He finished the last one in last position, 21st position, race at number 1 for Hughes. And I'm looking through at our race results, and he finished 10th. It wasn't a too bad a result for most number 1, but he is looking to try and hold on to a podium position here, starting this one in 1st position. He's dropped down slowly through the race. He didn't fall like a rock. It has been a very good drive for Mark Hughes, and he's looking to try and potentially hold on to a podium here. We come up towards the final 2 laps of racing action here around Hockenheimring for the 4th of 7 rounds in the NXTGEN Racing's Toyota Cup. We head out of turn number 6 there, and Benjamin Gregory has got the overlap here on Jamie Dory, but Dory gives him a little bit of a nudge there as they come over that. There's that little bump between the normal racing line, the racing surface, and the drag strip there. I don't know if that might have influenced that little slam on the door there between Dory and Gregory. Gregory's going to go defensive though, and Dory now is going to have to try and take this the long way round. He is going to keep his car there though, and if he can through the next left-hander, it'll be the inside line in the final 2, and he is going to keep it to the inside line into the final 2 corners. And for Jamie Dory, he is going to find himself through back into a top 10 position. 2 more laps to go, and Ben Oucher is no doubt waiting for the final lap of asking. Phil McDougall once again goes defensive on Mark Hughes, going on to penultimate lap of asking. And Max Andrews looks like he is going to take 5th position in this one, but he is still within slipstream range of Isaac Doble, who is pushing hard, looking to try and close that gap. You've got Lee Horn and Pittas just behind. You've then got this fight going on at the moment between Kent, Dory, Gregory and Stock. Hughes is going to try and make the move past McDougall here up towards the hairpin. Hughes has got the outside line. McDougall looks for that move back to the inside. He's going to push it wide though, and Hughes is going to look for the speed on the exit here. Mark Hughes wanting a podium in this race. Phil McDougall looking to try and get the podium. He's been caught up in incidents throughout the evening, and right now he is looking to try and take a very strong result. Hughes is going to stick very much to the right-hand side of the circuit here. Is he going to pull across to the left? He is, but not all the way there to get in towards turn number 11. It allows McDougall to carry that outside line. McDougall, though, gets onto the gravel. He's going to have a little bit of a wobble, and Mark Hughes is going to stay ahead of McDougall in the fight for third position, going on towards the final lap of the race. Talking of the final lap of the race, this is going to be the chance that Ben Oucher is going to take the lead of this one. And now we get in towards turn number 1 with Guthrie ahead of Oucher. There's going to be running slightly wide there as we ride on board Oucher up towards turn number 2. It's going to be right on the rear end of Guthrie here. If Guthrie can take victory, can we say commentator's curse is not a thing after we spoke to him at the end of race number 2? He comes out of turn number 4 then onto the parabolica. This is where we are going to see Ben Oucher go for the overtake into the hairpin. He's going to push Guthrie up towards the hairpin. Where is he going to break free? Is he going to dive towards the inside? Is Guthrie going to go defensive? Is he going to go for the exit here? Oucher remains behind for the time being. We come out to the hairpin then. This could be Guthrie's victory. That would have been Oucher's main opportunity. He will have another chance, of course, up towards turn number 11 if he can set himself up well for the arena section. Oucher looking for what would be win number 5. He goes to the inside of William Guthrie. It is going to be side by side between the two drivers. McDougall and Hughes having contact in the background there. They come through. It is going to be Ben Oucher. Big gap in the lead of this one. Hughes is going to try the outside of McDougall. McDougall is going to push through. Turn number 11. He pushes wide, but he is going to hold on to third position right now into the final turns. Ben Oucher, though, after winning race number 1, will come to take win number 5. Ben Oucher is going to win once again at Hockenheimring. The championship leader will extend his lead. The fights behind continue. Isaac Doble will just hold on ahead of Lee Horn up towards the timing line. We saw just up ahead McDougall managed to beat Hughes by just under a tenth of a second in a drag race to the line. Dory is going to keep Sykes at bay up towards the timing line and can stock here. Try to make the move past Hernandez on the line. It's less than a quarter of a second. He can't wade on the rear end of Gregory. Will take the final points of the day. And after winning race number 2, Nick Clibbins, multiple issues in that race, finds himself falling down the order 17th in the end for him, and no points on the board in the final race of the day. But after winning race number 1 and coming home in unfortunately 20th position in race number 2, the points go back in Ben Oucher's direction after the third race of the day. And for Ben Oucher, it will be win number 5 this season. Nick Clibbins, Ben Oucher and Isaac Doble, your only 3 race winners since the opening round of the season. Right now it was a mix of drivers with 5 different winners in the first 5 races. Since then it has been 3 drivers that have dominated this championship, but the consistency is what matters when it comes down to it. And we'll have a look in a moment at our championship results, because the wins are important. But Oucher, you saw he had 1 bad race and he was already under attack from Pittas, who hasn't won a race this season. So consistency more important than race wins, I would say, in this championship, but the wins are certainly pulling Oucher ahead right now. The results, though, of the third and final race of the day: it's victory for Ben Oucher ahead of William Guthrie. Phil McDougall takes home third ahead of Mark Hughes. Max Andrews taking home a top 5. Isaac Doble came home in 6th in the end after starting 19th on the grid ahead of Lee Horn. Jack Pittas coming home in 8th. And then a big gap down to Jamie Dory and Mark Sykes, 9th and 10th position. It was 11th for Lewis Mason, Adrian Hernandez in 12th, and Nigel Stock, Benjamin Gregory in 14th, and Michael Wade taking the final point of the day. Out of the points, Dan Beckett, Nick Clibbins, Carl Thompson, Mark Kent 1 lap down, Matt Gatter out of the race early after we saw issues for him early doors. He ended up abandoning his run out there. Right then, with that all being said and done, this is how the championship standings look at the end of round number 4. We've still got 3 more rounds to go. That's 9 more races, but with 12 races under their belt, Ben Oucher leads the championship by 17 points ahead of Jack Pittas in P2. It is then a gap down to Adam Wilson-Weir. Doble almost moving into a top 3 in the championship, but is 4 points behind Wilson-Weir at the moment. Lee Horn sitting in 5th position as it stands ahead of Jamie Dory. William Guthrie finds himself up in 7th. Phil McDougall in 8th. Nigel Stock finds himself in 9th and tied on points with Nick Clibbins. They round out your top 10 in the championship. Alan McCain then sits in 11th, ahead of Mark Kent. Benjamin Gregory in 13th, ahead of Ross Gillette. Joshua Downing sits in 14th position, and Michael Wade into 16th. First race of the season, first evening of the season, and Max Andrews finds himself in 17th position with 30 points on the board. He's a point ahead of Lewis Mason. Adrian Hernandez sits in 19th. Matt Gatter currently rounding out your top 20 in the championship. Carl Thompson sits in 21st, ahead of Mark Hughes. It's then Matthew Jordan in 23rd position, ahead of Mark Sykes. Jack Brown sitting in 25th position. I do not know who's sitting in 26th. We'll get that sorted ahead of next week. I believe it's the driver who competed in the first 2 rounds but did not turn up for the third race. First 2 races, sorry, but didn't turn up for the third race, which is why there's no name on the board. Dan Beckett, though, in 27th with 4 points on the board, and Jonathan Berry, 2 points on the board. But it means that every single driver that has taken part this season has got points on the board, which is nice for everyone, especially in a championship that does not have classes, unlike any of the other NXTGEN Racing series. With that being said, then, we'll have a quick word with one of our drivers at the end of that one. And I think I will have to go and have a word with a driver that has been finding himself climbing up the order. It's been a bit of a mixed bag for Lee Horn throughout the course of this evening. It was a 6th place in race number 1, a 5th place in race number 2, a 7th place in race number 3. I mean, you've certainly consistency in your final race results, Lee, has been the answer of the day. Some good points on the board in your championship fight.
A lot of fun out there. Wasn't the bow selector sort of race that I wanted. That last one, I was hoping to go a bit further forward, but the front group got away, and we couldn't really catch them up, so we ended up battling for the last 3 laps, which was great fun. So.
It was a lovely fun to watch as well, all the battling going on out there. We've still got a few more rounds left to go. We head across to Zolder next time out in 2 weeks. That's a very different circuit to this one, of course, where we've gone from a lot of slipstreaming here, being able to move up the order, into a circuit that I would say has very similar qualities to Okayama in terms of the slower corners, some faster corners. And you did well at Okayama. How are you feeling about that next round?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Like you say, I've done well on that sort of track before, so hopefully I can continue to get good points and not do what I did in race 2 there, as you probably all saw on the stream. I'm sat on their line, the lights go green, and my foot's flat on the floor, and I'm not going anywhere. Then I realised I was still in neutral. So anyway,
well,
less of that.
I was going to say, we saw that, definitely, the stop on the line there. But with that being said, of course, it meant that race number 2, you essentially started from last position in that race, and yet you still managed to get up to 6th position. You've shown some absolutely fantastic pace here. Do you think that was down to your driving, or do you think it was down to the tow?
I definitely think it was a little bit of tow involved, but I did a few laps with, we did a practice yesterday, and there was literally just Jamie and Mark, so we just spent an hour going around together, rubbing panels and seeing where we could pick up time, and my times were pretty good, so I was reasonably confident coming into this, to be fair. So, but yeah, slipstream obviously certainly helps for an extra 1/2 to 3/4 of a second in lap time.
Right, with consistent results though here, a 5th, a 6th, a 7th. It's been a good evening of racing. Good points on the board, Lee. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Joseph.
Lee Horn there, coming home, as I say, 5th, 6th, 7th. A mixed bag for him with everything going on across the evening, but you can say that he showed some pace. Race number 2, like I said, he stalled on the line, managed to make his way all the way back up the order. He gained 9 positions in that race as well, so it was a mix of a running. And with that being said, then, we are going to take our leave here on the broadcast tonight, and we will be back for the next round of the Next Gen Racing Toyota GR86 Cup. In 2 weeks' time, we head to Zolder on the 28th of April. 3 more rounds left to go. It is not by any means clinched by anyone. Yes, Ben Archer has taken 5 victories this season. The man in second, though, only 17 points behind, is someone who has taken no victories so far this season. Those victories have not gone the way for Ben Archer that you would have hoped for, because the consistency has not been there in the races that he has not won. But he will blame me for that, as a case of commentator's curse. There's no doubt about that one. And he definitely will blame it for me, because we didn't talk to him ahead of race 1. He won. We talked to him ahead of race 2. He crashed and came in 20th. We talked to him. We didn't talk to him ahead of race number 3, and he won. Yeah, okay, I can see the blame game going on here. But we will be back in 2 weeks' time. Now, if you're watching over on the Next Gen channels, on the Facebook or the YouTube, make sure you're hitting that follow button, that subscribe button, hitting the thumbs up. We'll be back live on Next Gen on Thursday with Alex Everett for the GT3 Championship. Make sure that you're not missing out the next round in that amazing series, as we've got the gold, silvers, and bronze continuing to fight it out for their individual championships. We will then head out next Tuesday for the next round in the NXTGEN. So make sure you're joining Paul Walsh for that one. And we'll be back again in 2 weeks' time for the next round of the Toyota GR86s with me. If you are watching over on the Joseph Wright broadcasting channels on the Twitch or the YouTube, make sure you're hitting that follow or subscribe button. And of course, we are going live again throughout the rest of this week over there as well. We've got the touring cars, 2 touring car actions, 4 touring car races on Friday, so make sure you are joining us for that one, starting at about 6:45 BST in the evening, of course. Then we'll be going live on Saturday with the next round of the Matt Malone, and we have got another Aztec Racing League's WEC Classic race coming up, 90 minutes of racing action. And Sunday we have got the brilliant Touring Car League that will be heading out, and that will be really exciting as well, because going into season number 3, I take charge of that championship. It becomes the Joseph Wright Broadcasting Touring Car Series, so make sure that you are checking that one out on Sunday as well. We will catch you next time, though, at both Next Gen Racing on Thursday with Alex Everett and myself in 2 weeks' time, and of course on Joseph Wright Broadcasting on Friday. Thank you so much for watching here, though, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.